Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to Unity of Music City. Are you ready to sing? All right, we're going to start off by singing two songs back to back. We're going to start off with All You Need Is Love and then end with Imagine Love. So let's stand and celebrate Easter. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. There's nothing you can do that can't be done. There's nothing you can sing that can't be sung. Nothing you can say, but you can learn how to play the game. It's easy. There's nothing you can make that can't be made. There's nothing you can save that can't be saved. There's nothing you can do, but you can learn how to be you in time. It's easy. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. 1, 2, 3. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. There's nothing you can know that isn't known. There's nothing you can see that isn't shown. There's nowhere you can be that isn't where you're meant to be. It's easy. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. 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 Imagine that love is all around. See it, feel it, be love. Imagine that love is all that is found. See it, feel it, be love. When we become what we're longing for, we are knocking on heaven's door. Imagine that love is all around. See it, feel it, be love. Imagine that joy is all around. See it, feel it, be joy. Imagine that joy is all that is found. See it, feel it, be joy. When we become what we're longing for, we are knocking on heaven's door. Imagine that joy is all around. See it, feel it, be joy. Imagine that peace is all around. See it, feel it, be peace. Imagine that peace is all that is found. See it, feel it, be peace. When we become what we're longing for, we are knocking on heaven's door. Imagine that peace is all around. See it, feel it, be peace. See it, feel it, be joy. See it, feel it, be love. Thank you so much. You sound great. Have a seat.
Joyous Easter, friends. Let us start this service with a deep centering breath. Today's centering statement is divine peace flows through me. In whatever situation we find ourselves in, we can be the living embodiment of peace. When we take time to breathe and realign ourselves with our highest self, we can recognize what is blocking our peace and release it. When we feel the peace of God, we can bring that peace to those around us. Each time I repeat the steps of recognizing, releasing, and accepting, peace grows in my consciousness. I become a conduit through which the peace of God flows. Now please repeat these affirmations after me. I am at peace with myself and everything around me.
I am at peace with myself and everything around me.
I am an island of calm in a sea of uncertainty.
I am an island of calm in a sea of uncertainty.
I begin each day in gratitude and end each day in peace.
I begin each day in gratitude and end each day in peace.
And so it is.
Well, welcome everyone. Happy Easter to you. So good to see everybody here. Looks like almost a full house, and I can feel the energy right here, and I know you can too. So welcome everyone. This is Unity of Music City, a place for authentic transformation. And what does that mean? Well, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, we are here to support that. And hopefully we're going to throw you a few nuggets on the best way to live your life throughout each and every week. So we're glad you're here. Sherry, do you have any announcements for us?
Yeah,
Looks like you have a few.
We have 2 pages of announcements. Wednesday evening gatherings at 6:30 via Zoom, a connection and centering time, a check-in, a centering practice with Deb Moore. Join us for an intentional and heartfelt time of connecting as a spiritual community. The Zoom link can be found in the weekly happenings and our website. A new class begins, yay, Wednesday, May 4th for 12 weeks from 6:30 to 8. The book, Atlas of the Heart by Brene Brown, can be purchased at Amazon. This class is facilitated by Deb Moore in workshop format with honest discussion and practical, hard to say this morning, practical applications. Must have been that brownie I ate ahead of time. Yeah, right. To register, go to the church website's PayPal section to pay in advance, $100 for the class and use the note feature to indicate that your payment is for the class. Please include your email address. You also have the option to pay $10 per week. You can also email the church, unityofmusiccity@gmail.com, to register or if you have questions. Town hall meeting and community party. I like that part better. April 22nd, April 22nd, so put that on your calendar, from 6 p. to 9 p. Is that true?
This Friday.
That's this Friday. Okay, at Quality Suites. Quality Suites. This is a different location, right?
It's right down the road.
Right down the road. Okay, 2615 Elm Hill Pike, Nashville. The plans are to eat, play some games, socialize, and then have our town hall meeting, all in one fun-filled evening. Pizza will be served. I'll have to come. Minimum donation for pizza is $10. Please RSVP to the church by April 19th if you plan to be a part of that. Yay. Page 2. We are looking for a property search committee. We're searching for a property search committee. If you would like to help in finding our new home, please email unityofmusiccity@gmail.com. An email regarding membership renewal also has gone out. Please take a moment to respond to the 3 questions. It's just 3 and they're simple. And email it back to the church. Thank you for your time in doing this as it promotes accurate record keeping for us. The prayer chaplains are available always for your prayers. So if you have a prayer concern that you would like the chaplains to be made aware of, you can email that prayer request to UOFMC prayer requests @gmail.com. There is also a prayer box in the back of the room. If you're here today, you can drop your prayer request into that box and they will hold your prayer in their highest capable prayer hands. That's it.
All right.
That's enough.
Well, it's time for the monthly mantra. This is, I guess, our 3rd time singing this, so I'm expecting you to be pretty good this morning, okay? Except that, well, hey, you know what? Let's practice it. The last verse is, if there's some kind of trouble or pain you're going through, know that you're not alone and someone cares for you. As an individualization of divine point of view, this door is open to you. So let's all stand and sing it.
No matter where you come from, no matter where you're going, here's a place where you can take comfort in the knowing that whether if you come to stay a while or you're just passing through, this door is open to you. Come and let's be silent. Come and share a hug. Come, let's pray together. Come, love and be loved. From the blissed out to the turned out, from the pampered to the abused, this door is open to you. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist, or Jew, this door is open to you. There's some kind of trouble or pain you're going through, know that you are not alone and someone cares for you. As an individualization of divine point of view, yes, this door is open to you. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. are straight, Christian, Buddhist, or Jew, this door is open to you. Come on in,
Come on in,
come on in.
come on in.
The God in us recognizes the God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist, or Jew, this door is open to you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist, or Jew, this door is open to you. So it is. Awesome. You may be seated.
Thank you. So good to see everybody here. This morning's affirmation: I live in the hope and joy of certain resurrection. Everybody together, please. I live in the hope and joy of certain resurrection. This human life is filled with ups and downs. Each one of us could tell the stories of our past joys and our past sorrows. We could share the details of days that almost broke us and days that gloriously affirmed us. Before Jesus was arrested, even before he was betrayed, he predicted his death and resurrection. As he walked towards Golgotha, beaten and bloody, wearing a crown of thorns, carrying the cross upon which he would die, he went knowing that the resurrection was coming. Did knowing this diminish his pain? Likely not. Did it make any of it easy? Undoubtedly not. But he was able to move forward without resistance because he knew, as is written in the Psalms, that weeping may last for the night, but joy comes in the morning. Because we are children of God, we can know that no matter how dark the night, our resurrection is coming. There is no need to worry or fret. We live in the hope and joy of certain resurrection.
Weeping may last for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Let's take a moment to just close our eyes if that feels most comfortable. Or you can stare at a spot on the floor. This is the time when we settle into ourselves to let the Spirit of the divine speak to us. This is the time when we go into the inner place of our being, the Saturday place of Holy Week. We may have been through trials, we may have been through difficulties, but always there is a place of peace that rests within us, that waits for us to come back home. To settle in yet again to a place where nothing lives but peace. Nothing lives but joy. The place where nothing lives but love. Pure, unconditional, unearned, never disappearing love. The love that we are born from. The love that we can live as when we remember that that is who we are. It is who we are. This is the day when we celebrate love rising again in us. Remembering the love that saves us every moment. Resting in that is a great joy. It is the place of healing and the place of wholeness. And together we go there now in the silence. In the silence. Up from the grave, love arose. Up from the grave came peace that had triumphed. Without weapons, without an army, peace and love won the day. And we celebrate that as a community today. We celebrate the way that that is expressed in us and through us. We celebrate the hope and joy that belong to us because of that day.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes to see there is only love. There is only love. A love that heals, a love that sets us free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when I feel I've lost my way, when when I go inside and quiet my mind, I can hear Spirit gently say, there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, a love that sets me free. There is only love.
Lord have mercy. Already, I have been to church. Happy Easter, everyone. Happy Easter to the folks online. I hope that you're wearing your white patent leather house shoes and are ready with your ruffly socks, your little ruffle butt panties that we used to have to wear on Sunday morning. The itchiest slip God ever created. Absolutely. It is Easter Sunday morning, and I am so looking forward to hearing what is going to come out of my mouth this morning. We started this morning, yesterday, Nikki and I were talking about different Easter songs that we grew up with. One of the things that I was reminded of, and I shared it with some of my social media groupies, they're not groupies, social media folks, is this idea as we begin to make sense of the Christianity we were raised in, and we begin to deconstruct a little bit, and we begin to try to shovel off some of the toxicity of some of that, we forget that we're still allowed to wake up on Easter Sunday morning and sing, "Up from the grave he arose, and he lives." Nikki tells me in the black church it was a song called "He Got Up." And we listened to that yesterday, and y'all need to go look that one up. And then this morning in the car, I said, "Nikki, you're in charge of the music. Give us some Easter Sunday morning music." I was already pulling this out in the car. Here's another one to write down. Go Google. The artist is Donald Lawrence. "Deliver Me." Just go look that one up. As a matter of fact, y'all could just leave right now and go listen to that. You'll have everything that you need. So I am primed and ready to talk about Easter today. We've been talking about, last week we started a story that talks about 9 days. 9 days starting on the Saturday before Palm Sunday and ending on Easter Sunday morning. And we talked about how those 9 days represent 34% of all of the gospel. A solid third of everything written about the actual life of Jesus is written about these 9 days. They are the heart and soul of a religion that has been around for 2,000 years now. And last week, we started with the first 6 days, actually 5.5, because we're going to pick up on 6 a little bit today. But we talked about day 1, the Saturday before, when Jesus raises Lazarus from the dead, and Jesus' ministry is already getting a lot of attention, maybe some of it he doesn't like, from the leaders of the Sanhedrin. And then he goes and raises some guy from the dead. That is not working in his favor, because he's now become dangerous, right? And then on Sunday is the March on Jerusalem, right? Sunday is when he walks in, as much a protest as a parade, when he walks in and says, "I will not be afraid of you." Everybody's gathering for the Passover. Everybody's coming into Jerusalem. And he says, I'm coming too. And the people who hear my message, they're coming with me. And they might actually celebrate me on the way in, and I will not walk in fear. Because they were, when he raised Lazarus from the dead, the Jewish leaders had already started trying to figure out how they were going to kill Jesus. He knew this. But he marched into Jerusalem and said, I'm here. If you've ever been in one of those marches, a march on Washington, a gay rights march, a Black Lives Matters march, a women's march, any of those marches, here's the thing. Nobody can really hear your voice in that crowd. What matters is your presence, that you are there, contributing to the energy of that moment in time. And that's what mattered on that Sunday. We talked about Monday, how he could have just laid low. He should have just laid low, but instead he goes over to the temple and he finds people exchanging money and selling stuff and loan sharks and bookies and all these kind of guys. And he gets mad and he flips tables and he clears out the temple. That does not make the Jewish leaders happy. You are making a scene. We're going to have to get a restraining order against you, Jesus. And then on day 4, of course, Tuesday, tacos first. And then teaching. Tuesday, we wake up and everybody's kind of like, what are we going to do today? Let's see, we marched on Washington. Then we went and messed up the temple. What are we doing today, Jesus? We're doing what we always do. We're going to go up and talk to people. And we're going to go down to the temple and we're going to teach. And during that day is when the Sadducees and the Pharisees, the leaders of the Sanhedrin, tried everything they could to entrap him. First the Pharisees came, first the chief priests came, asked him questions. He just responded. Pharisees came, asked him questions. He just responded. Sadducees came, asked him questions. He just responded. Pharisees came back. He just responded, answering everything, but getting them more and more flustered. What are we going to do with this guy? Day 5 was Spy Wednesday. That's when Mary, the sister of Lazarus, comes with some very expensive perfume and she anoints Jesus' feet. And Judas, who's the treasurer, is saying, have I not shown you the spreadsheet enough times, Jesus? We're operating in the red. I'm so tired of you not hearing that. I'm so tired of you not being realistic, Jesus. Here's this expensive perfume. We could sell that. You know how many people we could reach, how many people we could feed if we sold that perfume. And Jesus said, stop. She's anointing me for my burial. You will not always have me here. And that's when Judas gets fed up. And he runs off and he makes his bargain. He says, I can't do this anymore. He won't pay attention to the spreadsheet. So I'm going to have to just end it. And we're in the red, so I got to go get some cash. He owes me money. So I might as well trade in on what I've got. And he betrays him. And then, of course, day 6 is the first day of Passover. At the sundown, the Passover begins, one of the holiest days in the Jewish calendar. And he has the Last Supper, and he goes to Gethsemane. We talked about that last week, so we'll pick it up right there. Day 6, continued. We talked about the Last Supper. He's there. He predicts his death. He predicts that he will be betrayed. He predicts, you can say that 3 times real fast. He predicts that Peter will deny him. He feeds them. He offers them communion. He washes their feet. He is eating with his betrayers, and he knows it. He is eating with those who will deny him, and he knows it. Not only is Peter going to deny him, but Jesus already knows who Peter is. Earlier in his ministry, Jesus had said to Peter, you're the guy. You're the rock. You're the one I'm going to build my church on. And then he's sitting there the night before his death, knowing that that rock is going to deny him. And he knows it. He predicts all of this. And then he goes to the garden to pray. Now, what's really interesting is the other disciples, it was late. It was getting late. Dinner started at sundown, right? They were probably on, I don't know if they were on daylight savings time or not. But it was starting to get a little bit late. They go to the Garden of Gethsemane. And Jesus takes with him 3 people, Peter, James, and John. He takes Peter with him. The story of Peter alone through this whole week is a story to tell. He takes Peter, James, and John, and they go into the Garden of Gethsemane, and he says, stay here with me for a while, I need to pray. And so he leaves them, he goes a little ways off, and he starts to pray, and this is the first time that he says, if there's any way we can do this differently, God. Father, if there is any way, I'm listening. I'm up for it. But if there's not, then we'll do it your way. He prays for a while, and he goes back to the disciples, Peter, James, and John, and they're fast asleep. And that's when he says, couldn't you just stay awake with me a little while? Couldn't you just stay awake with me a little while? Listen to what he says. Can't you stick it out with me a single hour? Stay alert. Be in prayer so you don't wander into temptation without even knowing you're in danger. Listen to this part. This part rung through me like a bell. There is a part of you that is eager, ready for anything in God. But there's another part of you that's as lazy as an old dog sleeping by a fire. He wasn't just speaking to Peter, James, and John when he said that. He goes back off to pray. He says, stay awake with me. I'm going to go pray. He goes back to pray a second time. Same thing. Please, let's not do it this way. He comes back. They're asleep. This time, he just lets them sleep. I can just see him like, all right, whatever. You're tired. I'm going to let you sleep because I'm going to go back and pray a third time because we're all about the threes right now. I'm going to go back and pray a third time, and he does it again. He says, look, I know. I've asked, and I know that there's no other way, so your way is the way we're going to do it, God. We're going to do it your way, and I'm ready. And he comes back the third time to the apostles, and they're asleep. Peter, James, and John, they're asleep. And he says to them, get up, it's time. My betrayers are here. And they stand up, and sure enough, right at that time, here comes Judas. And Judas is with a gang of people. A gang with clubs and knives and whips and chains and all kinds of things. Probably, I don't know. I don't think they had guns back then. But anyway, so, all right. So they go, and this is a gang that was put together by the chief priest of the Sanhedrin. These weren't Roman soldiers. Rome wasn't involved at all in this. Jerusalem was this place that was in the Roman Empire, but the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate, pretty much said to the chief priest and the Sanhedrin, look, as long as you keep everything in line, I'll keep my hands off of you. You can do what you want to, but you keep the peace. And here comes Jesus, who is disturbing the peace. He's causing a problem. So these are the representatives from the church who are coming to arrest him, right? Judas walks up to him and kisses him because that's the sign. He's told the betrayers, the one you want is the one I'm going to greet with a kiss. And he goes up and he kisses him. And Jesus says, why this charade? I've been in the temple every day. You could have walked right up to me at any time. But you got to come in the dead of night. And this is really important. At that moment, the Bible says the disciples cut and ran. This is the last mention of the disciples during Jesus' lifetime, except for two that we're going to talk about in just a moment. But the disciples cut and ran. The rubber was meeting the road here, right? We were getting close to the fire and it was getting hot. And so they left Jesus on his own. And this gang of people takes him to Caiaphas, who is the chief priest, the leader of the Sanhedrin. Now, it's Passover. Passover began at sundown. There's a big feast. It's a big holiday. People have been partying, and it's the middle of the night, and this is so important that Caiaphas has said, you bring him to me immediately. And there are some chief priests gathered there as well. Not all 72 of the Sanhedrin. That's how many were members of the Sanhedrin as a representative body, 72. But it's at Caiaphas' house in the middle of the night. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Caiaphas. He was the son-in-law of Annas, who was the former chief priest. And the former chief priest, Annas, had 5 sons. After Annas stopped being chief priest, one of his sons became chief priest. And then Caiaphas, his son-in-law, became chief priest. And after Caiaphas, the other 4 of Annas' sons became chief priest. This is a connected family, right? This is a political dynasty. This is the family that controls Jerusalem. So they bring Jesus before Caiaphas. Now, Caiaphas' hands are tied just a little bit because he wants the guy gone. But he also knows that as the high priest of the temple, he does not have the authority to order Jesus' execution. The Sanhedrin has to do that. But he's not sure the Sanhedrin will. Because even the men who are gathered there with him, his closest, can't decide what Jesus did or didn't do. Is there a crime here? Did something happen? Well, I thought I heard him say this. No, I didn't hear him say that. I heard him say something different. And Caiaphas gets frustrated. And finally he looks right at him and he says, "Are you the Messiah?" Now in Matthew, Jesus replies by saying, "You said it." But in Mark, which was the first recording of this story, the recording of the story that all the others are based off of, in Mark, Jesus says, "I am." And then Jesus quotes the prophet Daniel. "The Son of Man will be seated at the right hand of power." And at that moment, Caiaphas jumps up and he rips his robes off and he says, "We've got him. Rome's not gonna like that." He's threatening the power base, and Rome is not going to like that, right? So that's the day of the betrayal. And just like last week, we have questions for every day. So the betrayal questions, we have 4 questions for each day. How do I face my biggest challenges? By napping or praying? When have I betrayed someone with a kiss? I almost wrote, when have I felt betrayed by a kiss? But you know what? We spend a lot of energy in that. And sometimes we need to look in the mirror and say, when have I betrayed someone with a kiss? Right? It's really easy to remember when someone else did it to me. But I know that I've done it to others as well. Can I recognize the times when I try to build a case against someone? Are there ever times when we've decided from the beginning who's the good guy and who's the bad guy, and now we just have to build our case to support it? That single thing, my friends, is the reason this nation is in the political mess that it is in today. Enough politics, we're a nonprofit. Am I able to speak my truth even when I know the consequences I will receive for it? When someone says, "Are you sacred?" I am. No matter what that means. Right? Owning who you are in this world. So now we go to day 7. Day 7 is Friday. Now, we kind of have to weave these days together because Jesus is at Caiaphas' house in the middle of the night. And Peter is hanging out in the courtyard while this is happening. He's probably hoping he'll hear something. He's trying to pick up on some scuttlebutt, some gossip, whatever's going on. And someone comes up to Peter and says, "Hey, you look familiar. You're with that guy from Galilee, Jesus, right?" And immediately Peter says, "I don't know what you're talking about." Now, it's easy to give Peter a really hard time right here. But the truth is, he believes Jesus is probably going to be executed. And there's a chance he might be arrested too. In fact, some of the disciples were arrested later on, right? Someone put something on Facebook this morning. We were talking this morning about how vile Facebook is and nobody looks at it anymore. But I did this morning. And somebody put something on Facebook this morning that said, oh, all the disciples, they were nowhere to be found, but the women were there. The women were at the cross. The women were telling the story. And I love that because the women never get enough credit. But the truth is, we can't hold the disciples to too high a bar here. What do you do when you feel like your life's threatened? I'd probably be laying low too. I'd be hiding out, trying to see what's going to go down. And so Peter says, I don't know what you're talking about. And someone else comes up to him and says, yeah, you were with that guy from Nazareth. I know you. He says, nope, I swear, I've never met the man. I swear. Jesus who? I don't know who you're talking about. No hablo Aramaic, right? So, thank you, God. Third time, somebody comes to Jesus and they said, listen, your accent's giving you away. You're from that same area of the world. I know that. You know him. And Peter says, I do not know him. And then the cock crowed, just as Jesus had predicted. I don't know if you've ever been raised around roosters, but their dawn ain't our dawn. They don't wait to see the sun come up and then crow. They crow so the sun will come up. Right? Even the sun is going, I'm awake, I'm awake. The cock crows twice, and Peter immediately knows what he's done. And it says here in the message, Peter remembered what Jesus has said, before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. And he went out and cried and cried and cried. The New International Version says he wept bitterly. Everybody's emotions were high. These weren't just nice little sweet white guys in robes. These were passionate Middle Eastern men who had been teaching and preaching for 3 years, who are seeing all of it coming to an end. He wept bitterly. And then right about the time that Caiaphas is deciding what he's going to do with Jesus, Judas comes back. These are the only 2 mentions of the disciples, Peter and Judas, the denier and the betrayer. And both of them, what the scriptures are showing us is their struggle, their remorse, their guilt, their shame. Judas comes back and he says, I have sinned. Now, those of us who are good Unity students, we know what the word sin means, right? It's an archer's term. It means miss the mark. It doesn't mean evil beyond repair, which is kind of the evil that I was taught when I was growing up. It means I've just missed the mark. Judas comes and he says, I've missed the mark. I've made a mistake. I've betrayed an innocent man. And Caiaphas says, what do we care? That's your problem. We've already got a plan. We're sending him to Pontius Pilate. And Judas throws the money. Now remember, this is the guy with the spreadsheets. This is the guy who's thinking about money all the time. This is not a small piece of symbolism here. He throws the money down and he runs out. I don't want that. And the scriptures tell us that he ran out and hung himself. So they take Jesus before Pontius Pilate. This is probably a pretty good rendering of what happened. He's got a situation where Pontius Pilate can turn around and have kind of a quiet conversation with Jesus, but he can also turn and lean over the balcony and ask the people what they want. And Pontius Pilate really doesn't want to be involved with this. Actually, his wife had a dream, and she said, you do not want to have anything to do with this. I had a dream about this whole Jesus situation. Keep your hands off of this. But he's got to deal with it. He's the governor. And the leaders of the Jewish people have handed him this guy and said, we want him dead. And Pontius Pilate turns to the crowd because he doesn't want to be the guy. He wants to put it in their hands. And it was a tradition on Passover for Pontius Pilate to pardon one prisoner. And so there's a prisoner named Jesus Barabbas. We usually just call him Barabbas. His first name was Jesus. Does anybody know what Barabbas means? Barabbas means, huh? You used to know. Son of the Father. Jesus Barabbas and Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus, Son of the Father. Jesus, Son of God. Which one do you want? Right? He turned to the crowd and he said, which one do you want? Which one do we want? And the crowd starts screaming, release Barabbas, release Barabbas. Jesus of Nazareth, crucify him. Now, a lot of people like to make a really big deal out about this crowd. They say, hey, you know what? Just 5 days before, they were all for Jesus. And now they're screaming, crucify him. I'm betting that Jerusalem had more than 23 people in it. That's what I'm betting. And I'm betting, just like any city today, you've got some people who believe one thing and some people who believe another. Some people who are there with palm branches when Jesus comes in, and other people who are screaming, crucify him. I guarantee that in that crowd of people right there were all different kinds of feelings about this. Some people walking along around the back going, wow, I didn't know this was going to go down. Maybe I was wrong about this guy. Other people going, oh my God, this is the worst thing that ever happened. Some people going, you know, I used to believe in him, but nope, not anymore, because I go with the crowd everywhere they go. And then you had some people screaming, crucify him. And here's the thing, who were the loudest voices? They usually get heard, don't they? So Pontius Pilate hands Jesus off to the guards, the Roman soldiers. And they mock him. And they put a royal robe on him, and they put a scepter in his hand, and they beat him, and they put a crown of thorns on his head. And they bully him. They make fun of him. They say, if you're the Son of God, save yourself. Right? Yeah, you're not so big now, are you? Big guy. And they're bullying him and making fun of him. And then they crucified him. They hung him on a cross among the thieves, and he hung there for 6 hours before he died. From noon to 3, the Bible tells us the whole earth was dark. From noon to 3. There was an earthquake. There was all kinds of stuff. The temple was rent in two. All kinds of stuff going on. So, crucifixion questions. Am I denying what I know is true? This is our Peter question. Peter denied what he knew to be true. And I think we do too sometimes, deep inside. Have I given back the silver, owned my mistakes, made necessary retribution? This sounds like step 1 or 2 of the 12-step program, doesn't it? I don't know. I've not done that program, but I believe it's 1 or 2, 4 or 5, somewhere like that. Have I believed that the loudest voices represent everyone? Sometimes I do that, don't you? When we hear loud voices out in the world, and I'm like, the world's going to hell. But I'm just listening to the loud voices, and there's a whole lot of other voices out there. When have I mistakenly believed this is the end? Day 8. Now, just like day 7, we have to kind of go back a little bit in time to Friday evening. Now, remember, the Jewish Sabbath, the Jewish night started at sundown. That's why we call it Christmas Eve. That's not, Eve doesn't mean the night before Christmas, it means the night of Christmas. Because their day started at sundown, and that was the beginning of a new day, right? And so Saturday begins on Friday evening. This is the Good Friday timeline. At 8 a.m., Pilate condemns Jesus to death. Now, we could go back before that. At like 6 a.m. is when Peter's denying Jesus. At 8 a.m., Pilate condemns Jesus to death. At 9 o'clock, he's crucified. They didn't waste any time. Jesus is on the cross from 9 to 3. From 12 to 3, darkness covers the land. And then at 6 o'clock that night, Jesus' body's laid in a tomb. Joseph of Arimathea, a wealthy man who'd already prepared his own tomb, went to Pontius Pilate and said, "Can I at least have his body? I want to give him a good burial." And he puts him in the tomb at 6 o'clock. And what is happening at about 6 o'clock on Friday night? The Sabbath is beginning. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Even in death, Jesus did that. Jesus laid in the tomb through the Sabbath, the day of rest. Shabbat Shalom. In my seminary program, there is a Jewish rabbi who's one of our teachers. And because our classes are always on Saturday, those of us who were raised in the Christian tradition never think about it. But every Saturday morning, Rabbi Scott gets on and says, "Shabbat Shalom." Peaceful Sabbath. Peaceful Sabbath to you. I love this quote by Rabbi Gill Zimmerman. Shabbat is the day we let go of the illusion that we are in control. That is what the Sabbath is for. The weekly reminder that we're not in charge of this. That's the energy that Jesus lay in on Saturday. Jesus had completely released control and given it over to God. So, not much happens on Saturday. It's quiet, all quiet on the Western Front. Here are our Shabbat questions, Sabbath questions. Do I keep the Sabbath holy? Now, this is not a way of me saying on Easter Sunday morning, you need to come to church. What it's really saying is, do I honor the sacred within me and give it time and space to be acknowledged? That's what the Sabbath is for, after all, is giving that time and space. Have I let myself rest in the release of knowing I am not in control? It is the most complete release, the most beautiful release. Have I stopped fighting, let go, completely surrendered? That's what Jesus does at the end. They say to him, if you're the king, you could call down armies. Yep, I could. But I'm just letting go. Do what you will. Have I allowed time for transformation? Because that's what that tomb time is. Have I allowed time for transformation? I almost said in the meditation, let's go into the tomb of our spirits. And I thought it might be a little early for that. Like, y'all might be going, what is she on right now? She had one of those brownies that, yeah. One of those. Day 9. It is all about day 9. On Sunday morning, after the Sabbath, as it says here in Matthew 28, after the Sabbath, as the first light of the new week dawned, that's Sunday morning, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary, the sister of Lazarus, came to keep vigil at the tomb. Suddenly, the earth reeled and rocked under their feet as God's angel came down from heaven, came right up to where they were standing. He rolled back the stone, and then he sat on it. Shafts of lightning blazed around him. His garments shimmered snow white. The guards at the tomb were scared to death. They were so frightened they couldn't move. The angel spoke to the women and said, there's nothing to fear here. I know you're looking for Jesus, the one they nailed to the cross. He's not here. He was raised just as he said. Come and look at the place where he was placed. And then he tells them, get on your way and go tell the disciples he's heading to Galilee. Meet him there. They'd already devised a place to meet, by the way. There was a specific place in Galilee where Jesus had said, after I'm gone, I'll come back, I'll meet you there. And so that's about a 4-day walk. It's about 80 miles from Jerusalem to Galilee. And the women leave the angel and they turn around and they go down the path and they see Jesus. And they cling to him. You know, this is where words never quite do it justice. I love some of the movie renditions of this moment when they first see Jesus again. And they hug him and they won't let go. As a matter of fact, Jesus says in the Message, he says, "You're holding on to me for dear life. Don't be frightened like that. Go tell my brothers they're to go to Galilee and I'll meet them there." And so they rush off to do so. And Jesus, of course, is changed. Jesus is different. Now, many of us in this room have been on a spiritual journey throughout our lives that is taking us to a lot of different places. It's taken us to places where we believe that absolutely, and it's taken us to places where we think, it probably didn't happen. It's taken us to places where we completely throw it all out. It's taken us to places where we're just not paying attention to it because we're focused on other things right now. But here's the beauty of this message. Whether you are a Christian or a non-Christian or an ex-Christian or a deconstructing Christian or a never in a million years Christian or a wannabe Christian or whatever it is, this moment for 2,000 years has given people hope and joy and peace. That's the beauty of metaphysical Christianity, is we don't even care. You can sit around and have your archaeological and historical debates about whether or not that happened. What we know is that for 2,000 years, that means hope. That means peace. It gives us the hope that peace will triumph. Here are the resurrection questions. Am I allowing myself to resurrect, or am I still living in the tomb? How many years do we spend in spiritual journeying? And how often can that journey, before we know it, turn into a kind of tomb that we never resurrect from, we never wake up from? Instead of just journeying, let's just awaken today. Awaken to the hope and the joy and the love. Do I believe the angels who deliver messages to me? Because they are. Do I live in the hope and joy of resurrection or the sorrow and confusion of the crucifixion? And finally, do I remember, no matter how it looks along the way, that peace will always triumph? So we've been on this journey for 9 days. And you might think, because I'm a teacher, and I know that students remember about 1/5 of what I tell them. That's if they're paying attention. They remember 1/5. What is it that I would want you to get from the last 2 Sundays? What would be the one piece to take from these 9 days? The message that Jesus gave during this 9 days, upon which all the law hangs, that you should love God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. Therein lies the certainty of resurrection, the hope and the peace. Therein lies the joy in the morning. It lies in love. Namaste, my friends.
Love your neighbor as yourself. We are one. Let's take a moment to be in gratitude. Gratitude for everyone that's here. Gratitude for this spiritual community. 1, 2, yes, I'm on. Gratitude for this spiritual community, and gratitude for a place where we can bring our gifts, talents, treasures, and be a part of something that is greater than ourselves. So let's take just a moment to look at the ways that we can give. We have the ways to give PayPal is through your QR code. The red bucket is for the paper in the back. The automatic bank draft, you can give by Amazon Smile or the Kroger Rewards card. And let's repeat the offertory affirmation together. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I choose to give, all that I see. And we are grateful. Let's sing it together. I am grateful for another day of living. Grateful for a new chance to forgive. Grateful to receive life's many blessings. And I'm grateful for the love I have to give. I am grateful for another day of living. Grateful for a new chance to forgive. I'm grateful to receive life's many blessings. And I'm grateful for the love I have to give. And I'm grateful for the love I have to give. Let's all stand, and Sherry, will you lead us in the prayer for protection?
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The light of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Life is good. We are truly blessed. All is well. Life is good. We are truly blessed. All is well. Life is good. We are truly blessed. All is well. Life is good. We are truly blessed. All is well. Life is good. We are truly blessed. All is well. Life is good. We are truly blessed. All is well. Life is good. We are truly blessed. We are truly blessed. We are truly blessed. And we are. All right, I'm going to sign off to everyone that's online.